This particular short training session is on how to do one of the most basic and simple forms of meditation, probably one of the most effective. Key thing to remember when you're doing any sort of meditative exercise is meditation serves no end purpose. Meditation is a technique that you use to clear your mind from distractions so that you can then focus on a particular task. Meditation just to meditate is going to give you no final goal. That's not what it does. And so in that context, what you want to do is we're going to go through a whole series of these. This will be the first one on tactile, then there'll be a visual and audio. You want to watch these in a very critical framework and try to figure out, and you try them all. And then in that process, try to figure which of these is the easiest for you to do without having to do a lot of preparation. Meditation is only effective when you can do it easily. If it takes a lot of work, if you've got to go and set up a special room and get a zab and sit down on it and burn incense and have the right type of music and stuff, if you're going to spend 20 or 30 minutes on the production, then don't bother, because it's not going to serve its purpose. It might make you feel good about something else, but it's not going to do what meditation is supposed to. Meditation should be something that you should be able to get into in a very short period of time to achieve a particular goal. In some cases, it can be to calm you down. It can be to reduce stressors that are distracting you. But in many cases, you want to use it prior to trying to work on something that's going to require concentration. This can be reading something that's complicated or technical. This can be listening to a video where you've got to learn to pick up some training techniques. It can be prior to going to some sort of a meeting where you've got to be on your top form. That's when you want to use meditation. Meditation has to become a skill that you can use with very little preparation when you need it. It can't be something that requires a particular place at a particular time. That's not what its purpose is. Okay, so this form of meditation is tactile. Now what that means basically is we're going to use the touch in our fingers as the way to focus on a particular thing, in this case an object. Key with meditation is you want to do this, you can do meditation standing up. If you do, I would suggest that you find something to sort of rest against. So for example, standing with your back against a tree or a wall or something like that would work. Easiest is probably just to sit comfortably. You want to sit relatively upright. You don't want to sit in like a lotus position if you don't do that normally, because the pain in your knees is going to very quickly eradicate any advantages of meditation. So sit in some way that's comfortable to you. One of the things that you really want to do in most forms of meditation, at least in the schools that I've learned in, is that you want to actually make sure that your feet are flat on the floor. As we'll see when you get into more advanced parts, meditation in the sense of actually feeling the ground and pushing sort of on the ground with your feet is a really central part of a lot of the sort of more advanced forms of meditation. So getting it right now just makes it a lot easier if you want to get into more complex, more sophisticated forms of meditation down the road. When you're sitting and you're comfortable, actually push the floor a couple of times with your feet to make sure you've got solid contact. Then what you want to do is you want to find a small object that you're going to actually sort of feel with your fingers. I've got a small rock here. Rocks are really good. If something that's got multiple textures is really good. You want something that's fairly small, that's easy to touch, that you can actually use both sets of fingers on. So the process works like this. Take your object. What you really want to do is sort of tricky, and let's do it this way first, it's the easiest. Take your hands, rub them together, and then slap the palms of the hands together a couple times. And I want you to then just hold your fingers like this so the palms of your fingers are touching each other. As you do that, you should be able to feel the slight pulse of the movement of your fingers on each other. Okay. So become sensitized to the touch of your fingertips, or more accurately, the pads of your fingers. Okay. Now, pick up your object. Now, what I want you to concentrate on is the feeling of the object in the pads of your fingers. So take a couple of fingers from both hands, hold them on the object, rub them slightly across the object, concentrate on the feel of the object. Now, while you're doing that, what I want you to do is now start paying attention to your breathing. Don't control it. Just pay attention to it. Now, slightly slow down your breathing, just a little bit. Now, bring it back to normal. All the while, keep on rubbing the object. Keep on feeling it with the pads of your fingers. Concentrate on the feel of the object. Okay, that's it. That's tactile meditation. It's that straightforward. If you have something that you normally carry with you, use that as your object. You want to make it as simple as possible. For some people who are very tactily oriented, this is an incredibly fast way to get into a meditative state. For other folks who are more audio or visually oriented, this might not be the easiest thing to do, and you might sort of get distracted and might not work very well. That's fine. Meditation is a process by which you get there by different directions. Tactile is just the first of the three we'll look at. So when you're done with this, what you want to think is just think to yourself, was it hard for you to do? If so, why? Was it the amount of distractions you had? Was it just that it wasn't that interesting? Was it because the texture of the object really wasn't that, you're not that into the feel of things? Could you actually concentrate on the texture of the object? When you tried to pay attention to your breathing, could you? Or were you distracted so much that the whole thing was just sort of a wasted exercise? If that's the case, then you need to sit down and really examine just exactly the amount of stress that you're putting on yourself. Because at some point in time, that stress is going to come and bite you. And in that way, not being able to meditate is maybe as effective as being able to meditate. Because if you cannot meditate because of the amount of stuff that you've got in your life, then you need to talk to a professional, because you are in a very sort of near crisis situation in many cases. You need to have that ability to back out of current distractions and free yourself up a little bit so that you can focus on task. And if you can't do that, then you need to find someone who can technically, professionally help you. And of course, here at school, you can talk to the counselors. So, meditation is an incredibly useful and effective tool. This is the first of the three, and we'll be seeing the next two down the road.